All right, guys, racing and randomness back at you with LSX Willys 2.0 build. All right, so we got some stuff done last time. We got the fuel pump mounted in there. And what we're gonna work on now is I'm gonna get the paint touched up on this red part that behind the dash that I was talking about. And then I'm going to get the Holley Dominator mounted and figure out where all that's gonna be so we can start to have a focal point of where the wiring is gonna need to be. So I'm gonna go ahead and start working on that, and you guys follow along. All right, thanks guys. Now, as you can see, we got all that painted up so it all matches and looks nice and neat. There's no more red or any of that primer stuff underneath. And the reason we were able to do that was because Army Jeep Parts sent us 2 spray cans of the exact same paint and formula that we have on the Jeep. So it's a perfect match. And it's really nice for being able to do like little touch-up work. With the original LSX Willys, one time I had a ramp fall off a trailer and it landed right on the fender and was leaning up against it, and it rubbed through. Well, on my way to Texas 2K one year, I think it was Texas 2K 15, and I was like, oh my gosh, gonna have to repaint the whole fender. It's probably not gonna match, whatever. Well, I got a can of this in the color of the Jeep and was able to touch that up, and you were never even able to tell that there was ever an issue there. So it blends really well, and since it's an enamel paint, there's no clear coat or any of that crazy stuff, so it makes it really easy. Got the Dominator all mounted up there. See, that dash comes out to about here, so there's tons of space back here. My other Jeep didn't have hardly any room back there, so this will give us a lot of room to run all the wiring and make everything look nice and neat underneath there, and try to keep this as clean as possible out here. But that looks so much better now. All of it's painted up nice, and the Dominator is mounted. Another thing you might be wondering is why we mounted the hardware backwards, and the reason is this is the battery box, okay? So the batteries we have literally barely clear. Excess Power sent us 2 batteries for this thing because this originally was a 24-volt system. We're gonna use 2 batteries just to make sure we have enough juice for anything that we're doing, and we didn't want to have anything sticking out too far back here. So that's all mounted up. We also dropped some other stuff off at the sandblasters, just a few little pieces that we need to get painted. The battery cover that came with this aftermarket body didn't look that great, so we're gonna use the factory military one with the chain mount and all that, but we had to get that sandblasted. We had to get the grill sandblasted because I always forget, when I did my first Jeep too, I also forgot that the body does not come with a grill. So we stripped the grill down and we have that completely stripped and ready to go. It's all at sandblasting, so when that comes back, we'll get that painted, and then we can actually cut it down, get the measurements for the radiator, get those over to Be Cool, and start getting this thing together. It's the end of the year, so a lot of the companies I deal with can't send any parts till after January 1st, so it's not a big deal, but we're gonna try to get as much done on this with what we have, so that way it's ready for whenever the new parts show up. So today what we're gonna work on is getting this fuel tank finished up. We got the fuel pump out here because we're gonna have to probably drill these holes a little bit bigger. But we were working on what we were gonna do for the fuel sending unit, and Holley had this awesome product here, and it actually uses LiDAR to detect the level of the fuel, so I didn't have to worry about measuring for a float or anything like that. And this works with all aftermarket gauges. So what we're gonna do now is get this put in, and then we're gonna clock that fuel pump to where it needed to be to clear the seat frame. So that's what I'm gonna start working on now. And Nick is over there working on the dash to get it cut out for the screen. So we're trying to get everything put together here and get this thing going in a good direction. So here's the dash right now, and this is all gonna get repainted because this was just a light coat I threw on there. But basically, with the screen here, the screen's gonna be flush mounted in the dash, right? Well, this hole is a little bit bigger. Even if we move it all the way up here and cut that out, we got a gap down here. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take this and cut this out all the way around here and put in a new piece of steel. Then we will cut that out for this. We'll weld it in, of course, and get it all flattened out. And then we're gonna cut that in, and then we gotta come up with the mounting bracket on the back. We think we're gonna use this 1-inch angle actually, because this was actually part of the crate that the body was shipped in. But we're gonna work on that. Nick just went to go get that, and he went to go get the screws for the fuel sending unit. The ones they sent won't fit in the hole, so we're gonna work on that now. While I'm waiting on Nick to get here, I'm gonna go ahead and take this seat and get the holes figured out on this thing, get it all straightened up to where we know where it's gonna be. And that way, when we put the fuel sending unit in, we'll know what needs trimmed, what we need to do. Because the biggest problem we're gonna have is, with this being under the fuel seat, or under the seat, is we're gonna have these 90-degree fittings coming out of these holes. So we're gonna have to adjust the seat accordingly to where all that stuff clears. But worst case, we space it up just a little bit, but it won't be noticeable. Okay, so the seat is mounted. I got Nick getting some shorter bolts while he's out, because that's just a smidge too long. But we've got everything lined up here, and once these are bolted down, I'm gonna use shorter bolts for all these, because we don't want long studs sticking down below, because that's right in the drivetrain area. So that shouldn't be too hard. Now I'm gonna work on this passenger seat. Now the passenger seat is a little different, because as you can see here, you have the storage bin that you have to be able to access, okay? So it uses these little brackets right here. And if you can see, it's got an open slot on one side. And what that's for is the seat actually has a flat stub, well, half round, half flat stub that sticks out. So when you pull it up, it's kind of like a tailgate on a truck. When you get it at that right angle, you can slide it out. Well, that's exactly what this is gonna do. Okay, this is what I was talking about. You see the shaft there? If you look, it's actually kind of flat. And these slide on and then lock into place. And it has this little pin to go in there to make sure it doesn't go flying around or flopping out of there. So not that that little pin's really gonna do much, but we'll pretend it will. So if you ever go for a ride, just hold on. And this Jeep's actually gonna have a handbar, unlike my other one, because every time someone got in my other Jeep, they always asked me what they were supposed to hold on to, and I just said the seat. So let's see how this looks mounted up, and we'll get it all figured out where it needs to be. So I got both seat frames drilled and basically mounted. I'm waiting for Nick to get back with the nylock nuts and stuff like that and the little shorter bolts. So I didn't bolt them down tight. But I just set the cushions on there so you can see kind of what they look like. But keep in mind, these were sitting out in a barn for a while. They are brand new seat cushions, so they need cleaned and stuff. But it's really weird. They even smell like military stuff, if you know what I mean. But and if you know the smell, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But I'll show you what this looks like now. So let me flip the camera around. There they are in there. And once everything's mounted down, I'll show you how the seat folds up and everything like that. The M38A1s were a little different. The driver's seat was a little taller than the passenger seat because of the fuel cell underneath it.
All right, so I'm working on the dash today. This is where the dash is gonna go, right in the center. So the Holley EFI is gonna sit basically flush here. So what I'm gonna do is we're gonna cut this existing bracket out because it's not big enough to fit the dash in. And then I got a piece of sheet metal. We're just gonna take it, weld it in, and then cut it out. That way the display mounts flush in here on the dash.
So as you can see, Nick got the hole cut out here. And from the size of it, you'd think we were putting in a damn Ram truck stereo, but we actually cut a little lower than we needed to, because if you look at this piece here, which is jagged and sharp as hell, it had a bunch of other holes and stuff down there for some accessories and stuff that we're not going to be using. So we just went in and cut that whole piece out. And then now we're going to get the new piece of steel measured and cut and welded in. So as we did on the fender here, I'm going to try to do some of these inserts here on the dash for that dash panel all the way across, because as of right now, you have to put a nut up behind and then put the bolt in. And I think these would be just a whole lot easier and make things a whole lot nicer. So I'm going to start working on that now. Got all those inserts installed. So now when we put the dash back on, it'll be very, very easy, and very easy if we have to take it off to get to any of the electronics, or if something fails or anything like that. What are you doing? He got the plate tacked in, and now he's gonna fill it all the way around. So we can do a lot of grinding to get it nice and level, and then body fill anything that we need to after that. I got the new LiDAR fuel sensor installed, the fuel sending unit. So we'll never have to worry about E85 or anything messing up one of the floats or anything like that. Now I gotta get this tank vacuumed out, and then we're gonna pick that ring up and try taping it back up here again and get the bolts started in that. Okay, so now what we got the pump re-clocked so we can get this fitting up. And yes, it's gonna go up, and we'll have to like router out a piece of the bottom of the seat cushion, which is a wood panel. But these seat cushions are very, very stiff, so you're not gonna feel that under there. And then we're gonna notch this here just to clear this fitting. And we're gonna notch this whole back section basically, so that way we can get this cap back on there. And we still might have to machine this cap down pretty thin there. I mean, this would be the normal gas cap with this setup here, but we have that huge gas cap, so we don't need to use this, nor would we be able to with it underneath this seat. So I'm gonna take the seat over now and trim that stuff up.
All right, so I got the Holley display put in. It had this weird plate in here. I don't remember what that was for originally. So what we did was we just cut out a big hole, put the sheet metal in there as you saw, and then welded around it. But the problem was when we welded around it, it got really warped. So I had to straighten and fix a whole bunch of things, and finally got around. I cut the hole, put the Holley dash in there flush, and then I just welded in 2 pieces of 1-inch angle, and that's how it's mounted on the back. And Holley makes it really easy in their display kit. They send a template so that you can mark all this out, and you don't have to sit here and fiddle around with it the whole time. All right, so I got back from Justin's yesterday and dropped off a whole bunch of parts from Quick Performance. They got front axles, rear end, brakes. There's all kinds of parts and goodies that we're going to get into here in a little bit when Justin gets here. But the Holley display is in, and I just want to make sure before we get it all painted up and everything that there's not going to be another gadget or display or anything that we need to put in there. So what I think I'm going to work on for right now is we have just little knick-knack things like these hood latches on the old hood. We got to take them off, put them on the new one. So I'm going to see if I can get the rest of that stuff off, and then we're going to get it sandblasted, and then hopefully we'll just have to do one more round of paint. Hoping that we can get it all in one batch, because if you've ever painted anything before, you know it's a process to get it all done. So here we go.
All right, guys, so we're at a stopping point right now for this thing. There's some huge components that we're missing right there, but we're working on that. The dash we got installed there. It's straight. I still got to do the body filler and sand all that stuff and everything. But it's coming together. As always, from me and Nick back there. Thanks for watching. And from all of us here at Racing and Randomness, please like and subscribe and share this video.
We will see you next time.
What he said. See you guys.